Mobius Digital's 2019 game, Outer Wilds, is quite frankly an amazing experience. Never have I played a game that has made my jaw drop and eyes widen so many times. As a fledgling astronaut, you are tasked with exploring a solar system full of planets, comets, and other secrets in the hopes of solving why you are suddenly trapped in a time loop. Featuring great puzzles, exploration, and an enthralling mystery to solve, I truly cannot recommend it enough. That being said, Outer Wilds truly makes you feel like you're an astronaut. So, how did we get here, right about to fall into this black hole? Well, surprisingly, for some players, you might only be 30 minutes into the game. So, let's go back to the beginning and see how Outer Wilds prepares you to become an astronaut. Before we go on, just a word on spoilers. This video will go in depth looking at the game's tutorial and show brief snippets of other planets that avoid seeing anything too interesting, so don't worry about spoiling yourself on the adventure. The first thing you do in Outer Wilds is wake up. The second thing you can do in Outer Wilds is cook a marshmallow using the game's state-of-the-art marshmallow cooking physics, which is pretty amazing stuff. Outer Wilds tutorial is set on the day of our main character's first outing into space. We are told to grab the launch codes to access our ship, and along the way get a feel for the game's fundamental controls. We can look around, practice jumping, in which you first have to push down to then release and spring on, as well as explore a small optional area in which we can experience zero gravity and our spacesuit. In this zero gravity area, we can use the joystick or keys to move forwards, backwards, left and right, whilst using the triggers or shift control keys to move directly up or down. The small gyroscope in the bottom left corner also helps you gather a sense of direction as well. The player learns how to rotate the camera, lock onto points of interest, and repair parts of a spacecraft. In the span of 5 minutes, we know how to maneuver in zero gravity, a skill that we will only continue to hone in the future. The game's physics engine is also a joy, with the player really being able to sense their own momentum and different planets having different gravities and other effects. Also brilliantly, we have subconsciously learned how to pilot the spaceship, as the controls are an exact copy as well, just a bit more powerful than your regular spacesuit. Additionally, little areas on the way to the observatory teach you how to make use of your astronaut's toolkit further into the game. First, we are presented with a model ship to practice launching and landing on different surfaces, a skill that you'll hope to have if you want to make it to the various planets in the solar system. We then learn how to use our Scout, a launchable drone with various functionalities. First, we look at an example probe already in orbit around Timber Hearth. By using the forward and back cameras on the Scout, it's possible to get a wide scope and even a low frame rate video of the Scout's surroundings. We also then get to practice firing it off in different directions and seeing its natural arc as it's affected by gravity. The Scout ends up being one of the most valuable tools, both letting players explore and experiment, but also helps solve some of the game's more interesting challenges. The game gives us a brief look at ghost matter, a dangerous gas found throughout the game's solar system that can only truly be spotted using our Scout's camera. Finally, we also test out our signal scope, both a telescope and a miniature radio, letting us find travelers and zoom out into the distance. All of these mini tutorials help set up the basic skills of our upcoming venturer by simply letting us use the tools presented to us. No pop-up text boxes or step-by-step markings. They just give us the tool, some dialogue, and let us try it out. We can even ignore the areas and move straight on. The next step in Outer Wilds tutorial is helping set up the story and all of the unique things you may find on other planets. Each little display in the observatory's miniature museum relates to an interesting thing to do in the game. This ranges from a portrait of the previous generation of Outer Wilds astronauts to actual mechanics such as the quantum shards and gravity crystals. Once again, the player is left to experiment and see how cool some of these game mechanics can be. There's also things talking about the Nomai, a long-extinct species that also used to inhabit the solar system, setting up a story thread for the player as they head out into space. I think every player spends some time just spinning around looking at the quantum shard, or climbing up and down along the wall with the gravity crystal. It's just fun to see how these seemingly magical objects work, making sense of it all and noting it down for later. And sure enough, these things show up later in the game, introducing newer mechanics and becoming part of various puzzles. Each of these different mechanics are told in a completely natural way through the game's observatory, rather than a square data log entry explaining it to you. It's the perfect case of show not tell, and wonderfully adapted into the game. Additionally, you also experience the event that completely kickstarts your journey with the Nomai, which I won't spoil and I'll leave for you to experience yourself. NPCs also set up some other mystery threads to follow, such as what happened to Feldspar, a missing adventurer like yourself, or what's the source of the smoke further off in the distance, or maybe just to meet up with Gabbro on Giant's Deep. These ensure that the player has some options and leads in their investigation and exploration of the mysteries of the game. The tone and emotions you'll feel in Outer Wilds is as diverse as its planets. There are scientific phenomena which are as dangerous as they are breathtaking. The conversations with other characters are both funny and also deep and meaningful. The game has its quiet moments, its climactic revelations, joyful and tragic scenes, all left for you to encounter, along with a great art style and music to set the scene. But before the player gets to experience all that, they are quite literally described as a hatchling, ready to leave the nest that is their home, Timber Hearth. NPCs around you congratulate you on your achievement and bid you the best of luck in your travels, wishing you to stay safe or offer some last-minute wisdom. You get to talk to your old mentor, friends, and colleagues from the previous generation, all excited to see what the future holds. You, the player, who has probably already seen the game's trailer, maybe a review, and gone and bought the game, are also probably excited to see what this world has in store. When Hornfelds asks you what your plan is once you head into space, it's no wonder you are given one of the largest sets of dialogue options in the game. Which one you choose will entirely depend on what you want to do. So, about that really bad line about feeling like an astronaut. It's kinda true. Sure, you might not have the training or technical know-how, but by the end of the tutorial, I was nervous and excited to go into space for the first time, to meet my fellow astronauts and to prove myself. It was enthralling, and actually doing it yourself is quite amazing. As you head back to your newfound ship at the end of the tutorial, you will undoubtedly be looking forward to it. You'll probably be wishing to not crash right there and then, and might already have a couple of things you wish to investigate. Once you sit down in your cockpit and turn on the ignition, blast off straight into the great unknown, and just sit there, resting in space, you'll have become a true explorer for the Outer Wilds. Hey there, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please consider giving a like or subscribing for my stuff in the future, whatever that may be. Feedback is always appreciated too. Thanks.